So today we're doing this Colors of Spring class. So if you have this class kit, go ahead and pull it out. If you did not order the class kit, I don't have any more right now, but I'm going to put some more together. So I'm going to leave the kit online for tonight and all day tomorrow. So if you want this kit, go ahead and order it, because then once I have the orders from tonight or tomorrow, I'm going to total up how many more we need, and then we'll put those together. So you get one more chance to order this kit if you want it. Anyways, we're going to go down to the table. So Control V, I think.
Yep, I did it. But
And you should be able to see the cards and my hand over them.
Yep.
So then we know we're live. These are the 5 cards that we're making. We're going to go ahead and get started right away, especially since we're starting a little bit late. We are going to start with the watercolor ones, just because then we can put them aside to dry. I don't think I said to have a heat tool, so if you don't have a heat tool, or if you have one, great. If you don't, we're going to put those layers aside to dry. So we're going to take the rest of these cards out of the way. We're going to start with the Hello one, because that one we're going to soak the most. In that kit, and then we're also going to do this one too. So in this Hello kit, you got this little packet, and on here are these are called Peerless Watercolors, and we just cut little swatches of them, and then you also have some yellow gems. But the Peerless Watercolors is this book right here, and these are like baked on sheets. So this one's yellow, and you know it's yellow because it says Brilliant Yellow. And usually it's the color that's on the back of the sheet. So like the blue, even though it looks a little dark blue right there, the color is actually like that, because the color is baked onto this sheet, and then you can pick that color up with water. And it's very concentrated, so you just need a little of it. That's why you have just little swatches. There's, I think, 19 colors in this book, but it's a really handy book because you can, pick your color up and then you can close it, and you'll get a little bit of color over here, but it's a very portable book if you need to travel and you want to take your watercolors with you. So that's that. And I am using just a watercolor brush, or a water brush, I mean. And I'm just going to show you just a couple things.
can they purchase that book from
Oh,
you?
we do have the book. It's under the accessory page. So it's on accessories. So I'm going to put this one aside because we'll do this one second. And in this kit, you have a piece that's pre-stamped, and that is on our cold pressed watercolor. So this is a very, very porous sheet. And I'm going to show you actually how I stamped it also. But then you also have a couple other little pieces in here. You have a mini slimline card. On the inside, I just put a mini slimline layer. You have a piece of metallic. You have a couple little pieces. You have the 2 hellos, which I kind of poked mine out, but not all the way. I must have gotten an extra piece in there. So I'll set that aside. So anyways, I'm going to put my card pieces aside because we're actually going to assemble this one later. We're just going to do the watercoloring on it right now. And I'm just going to talk a little bit. Well, first let me show you how I stamped that. So the cold pressed watercolor is very porous. And this particular watercolor paper, it's really hard to emboss because your ink soaks into it, that by the time you get the powder on it and heat it, the powder kind of doesn't stick. So I like to stamp it with Stays-On ink, and I like to use, one of your stamping platforms or your MISTI or whatever, just because it does take a couple stampings, depending on how solid it is, to get it filled in. So I did use Stays-On ink. I used my piece of cold press watercolor, my magnets, which I know I should put little tape on these magnets so they're easier to find and pull apart. And then I inked up with my StazOn, and try to make it a juicy StazOn, because a dry StazOn isn't good for anything. And ink it a couple times. And a hard surface is better than a soft surface. And mine is kind of soft here. So then you get a really good image. So that's how I got your initial image on there, was I stamped it with StazOn. So I'm just going to set that aside. And I'm just going to start with a piece of, well, I'll just start right on my project, but you guys can watch for a little bit if you want. So with the colors, you kind of squeeze, till you get a drop of water. Now, I'm just going to start with my yellow, even though we're using yellow. I just want to show you one thing with the yellow. Sometimes I do a wash, and I'll actually put the color, on a block, so I can dilute it out even more. If I'm going to do, a wash of yellow, like if I want to just do a very light wash, like you're doing something for sun, I'll pick that color up and make a wash, so I can do it very, very light. So that's just one thing. You can also like mix your colors on a block if you want to. Like say you don't want that shade of green or orange or red, you can mix two colors next to each other. So you can put colors next to each other and mix them right on the block to get, a slightly different shade. So, or you can mix those actually on your paper too. But if you're coloring something in and you want to mix colors on your block, you can do that. And in between colors, because we're going to start out with blue and green, so in between going from this card to this card, you're going to want to clean your water brush off. So to clean your water brush off, just squeeze some water out of it. And if you have a piece of paper towel, you can kind of just blot it on there, or scratch paper too. So anyways, I'm going to pick up some blue, and I'm just going to randomly do a background on here. And I can bleed out that color, so I can move that, see how that color moves around? So I can make it very dense, or if I just keep squeezing it to get more water out, I can bleed that out even more. So for this background, you can basically do anything you want. Like I did a lot of blue on here, but then I did some green. So you can pick up your green too and add your green in there. But see how you can just kind of push it all over the place? And I can blend, green wherever I want. Or if I clean my brush off, I can go back and get some more blue. So it's up to you where you want your blues and greens. Now I think on my original sample, I did mostly blue, but then I splattered some green on there. And you can see I'm putting a lot of water on there. And if you get too much water on, you can always take a paper towel and blot it off, and that will pull your color off. So if you get it darker than you want, either add more water to dilute it out, or you can blot off. And that kind of gives you a softer watercolor look. So yeah, if you get something and it's too dark, go ahead and blot it off or add more water. So see how that just pulled the color off and gave it a softer watercolor look. So, and I'm just kind of playing here. There's no right or wrong with this. It's kind of like alcohol inks, just play. But I want to get a little bit more blue on there so I can splatter some green. And I actually just pulled all my blue off that I did want on there because I was showing you that. I just wanted to show you how you could actually pick that color back up. And that kind of gives it a cool, like, lighter look to it. Oops. Too much water there, Sarah. Flooded my little thing. So anyways, you can take your green then, if you want, or clear water, and you can splatter droplets of green on there. And that's totally up to you. So I am taking a block, and I just did pick up some green, and I just kind of splattered it on there to disperse it. Now I can clean this off and just get clear water running out of there. And I can splatter clear water on there, and it will dilute it out, so you'll get more whiter spots instead of the green. So totally up to you, but again, if you get stuff you don't want, go ahead and blot it to pick it up off of there. And you're never going to get the same background twice, obviously. So we're just going to set that. Whenever you get what you want, you know, either stop or keep going. That's up to you. And then you're just going to set it aside to dry. So I'm going to set this aside. And you can see it's very different than my other one. Now, I did make it longer, so you had a place to hold onto it with your hands. I forgot to tell you that ahead of time. But I did make it longer. So we are going to end up trimming that bottom part off. But we'll do that after it dries. That's why this specific one is a little bit longer. Just in case you like to hold your paper down, you had a place to hold it. So I'm going to set that aside to dry. Now, I did see something, and it's one of the websites that shows a bunch of different techniques. And for the life of me, right now, I cannot remember what that one is. So I'm going to try something, and it had to do with a spray bottle. And this could be an ultimate fail, I don't know. So, but it was watercoloring an image, and I had one here. Oh, here it is. I had a different image here. And it talked about lightening up your edges of your watercolor. So I'm going to try that in just a minute. So you guys are not doing this. I'm just playing while you guys are still playing, and maybe you're done playing. But anyway, see how you can just pick that color up and move it around? And I can blot my color off. Anyways, I'm just doing this really quick because this used a spray bottle, and then when you sprayed it on it, it spread out your color. So I haven't tried this, but I do want to try it. So since I had my watercolors out, so it had a spray bottle, and you just sprayed, and that kind of spread your color out. Now, I don't want to spray all over my work surface, so I'm going to go down here above the garbage can, and we'll see what happens. So it did kind of spray that color out. And I did have it on more of a straight instead of a mist.
Instead of a mist, yeah.
So, but that kind of like spread that color off the sheet a little bit. Just to add the same color kind of shadow. So, I don't know. I might have to play with that a little bit more. But like you could go back on here, and you guys aren't doing this one, and you can add, you know, your highlights. Because this paper is super absorbent, so, and it can take a ton of water. Oops, too much. But it takes a ton of water. And it does curl a little bit while you're first working with it, but it will dry flat. And then see how you can just pick up that excess water?
pretty.
off of there. So that allows you to get different shades. And I am by no means a watercolor. I just kind of play. So anyways, okay, I'm just going to set that aside. I'll leave it for later. So now you do want to clean your brush off, because we're going to go on to yellow. So everybody should have theirs sitting off to the side. And we're just going to pull out the felt piece of this one. Now this one is a little bit different, and you have a little swatch in here that you can play with. So this is the actual one that you need. This is a little swatch if you want to just play on that piece, because this paper is different than the cold press watercolor. This is the Royal Ultra White Felt. So this one, if you feel your image, it was embossed on there. Okay, so you've got your lines standing up just a little bit. Not saying that the colors won't bleed over the top of them with the embossing, but you have, these were embossed on there with a clear powder, clear ink, black powder, black ink, clear powder.
Yes.
So that's how we ended up with not getting the little dots on there for embossing. So with this paper, the ink does not sit on the top as much. It's very absorbent, and it actually sucks it in a little bit faster. So once it's on there, you can't move it around as much. Now you don't need blue, and I used a lot of my blue, but I'm gonna go to my green actually. But once you put the color on there and it soaks in, you can't move it around as much. So you can initially you can move it around, but once it starts to soak it in, then you can't move it around as much because it's actually soaking into the paper. Where the cold press, it kind of stays on the top for a little bit. Do we have a question, Mom?
Nope.
Nope, no
Everybody's
questions?
good.
You guys
Be
are just
quiet.
working?
Everybody's working hard.
This one will pill up if you brush it too hard and too much. So where the cold press does not pill up. This one is meant for a lot of water, but if you keep working it and working it and working it and working it, it will pill up a little bit. So I'm still able, like the blue, see how I can't blend out that line as much? I can a little, I can, but see now it's starting to pill up the more I work it. So this one you want to, you can put a lot of water on, but don't keep working it and keep working it like you can with the cold press, because eventually this one will pill. So, but this is our 110-pound Royal Ultra White Felt. So we're just going to set that aside. I have to clean my brush again.
Is that a mat you're working on or craft paper?
This one, the green is just, it's a 65-pound cardstock that we had a humongous excess of, so we went ahead and made me some pads because then I can use, my white stuff sticks out on it. So it's just a pad that we kind of made up for me. And I have white underneath here too. I have a white mat too, but you guys can't see if I'm working on white. So anyways, with this one, I'm going to use some green for the stem. And this is a very narrow stem, so if you don't trust yourself, you don't have to do it. And then we're going to use the yellow and orange. So if Sarah was smart, she would have started out with the yellow, but yeah, I didn't. I started out with the green.
Been a long day.
And now flowers, I looked at a lot of flowers. You can have flowers that are darker near the, the inside of the flower and then go lighter to the outside, or just the opposite. They can be darker on the tips and lighter towards the inside. So totally up to you. On this particular one, I did start dark on the, and this one is supposed to be yellow, but it's not very yellow. So hopefully you got brilliant yellow, but it looks like they made a mistake when they were putting this one together. So if you have orange, I apologize that you don't have yellow, but orange flowers are very pretty too. See,
Bernice said hers isn't yellow either, so, okay.
so, but see how this one dried right here, and I'm having trouble bleeding it out. So I'm just gonna go actually make that more orange. Because the one next to the what's supposed to be yellow is orange. If you didn't get yellow and you want it, you can always just email me and I will send you a little hunk of yellow. Don't know how those got mixed up, except they are very close, like the back. See, the back of that one is yellow, so technically this one should be yellow. So I don't know if they made a mistake when they were making that one, but it's supposed to be the color that's the back of the sheet. But there are two different yellows. There's a brilliant yellow and then there's an orange yellow, so maybe that's where the mix-up came in.
It's a pretty flower anyway.
So if you have a different color, you could always put a different color on there too. Or if you have any other color watercolors, or you could even take your watercolor brush, dip it into an ink pad. So this is another thing that you can do.
Well, Bernice Rogers is using watercolor pencils in yellow.
Yep, yellow watercolor pencils work. Sometimes I'll take my ink pads, and the older ink pads, you used to be able to like push down on the lid. So then you got, they were like closer, like the Adirondack ones. So then you would get that yellow in your lid, and then you could actually watercolor from there. So you could pick up colors like that of yellow. And you can make yellow watercolor that way. So just another thing that you can do. So that's just a way of, you know, creating a yellow watercolor without actually having watercolors. So anyways, after you get it colored, then we are going to splatter it. So for splattering, we're going to kind of do the same thing that we did before. We're going to pick up a little bit of yellow, or you can actually you know, get your droplet close to the end, pick up a little bit of yellow, and then we're going to just hit it with a block. And I'm concentrating, so I obviously can't talk and concentrate at the same time. Or I can't color and talk and concentrate at the same time.
Walk and chew gum. Huh?
And I didn't go in the lines very good there. Okay, so we're going to pick up some yellow. And you're going to take a block, which I had my block sitting next to me. There it is. And you're just going to tap on it, and that'll give you some splatters of yellow. If you have yellow or orange. Or you could splatter with green or blue. Up to you. They're all pretty.
hard to see that on. Maybe the orange will show up better.
Yeah. Well, here's our yellow.
Oh, yeah,
Oops.
now we can
I
see
just
it.
got purple on there.
That's good.
Crudness. I must have had purple on my finger. Oh, there's orange. So there's where I did a little bit of orange on there.
Mm-hmm.
So we can set that one aside a little bit to dry, and if your work surface is wet, you can unwet it.
Technical term.
Okay. So for this one dries really quick, so no worries on that one. Or you can even like turn it over, you know, on a scrap piece of paper to dry it a little bit. So the remaining pieces in that one, let's pull those out. And there are a couple pearls in there. So I did layer my card or my piece of watercolor on the piece of gold. Now this orange, you can trim it to the edge of your white, or you can trim it to the edge of that gold piece. So that's up to you where you want to trim that to. So I'm going to attach this piece down. And then I did pop up my let's make the most of this beautiful day. So that I popped up. Oops. Be careful when you're popping it up that you don't pop up what actually falls off the edge of the paper. Okay, so we can attach that on there wherever you want. Trim it off, and I usually trim from the back. I do have a little bit of foam tape sticking out there. Oh well. Trim it and trim it. And then we're going to put more adhesive on that and attach that to the outside of the card. And then there were pearls in there, so you're going to attach a couple pearls on. Depending on what pearls you got, you might have to trim them apart. And you did only get 2, I just happen to have 3, so if I lost one while I was demoing, then I had a spare. So that is the watercolor daisy card. Now I added orange dots to mine, and my flower is mostly orange, but you do you. So that's that card. And it's pretty either way, the yellow or the orange. Now let's go on to our butterfly one, which is this one. And I still do have to pop out my words. I didn't do my homework. I know a lot of you did your homework. I did not do my homework. So I'm going to talk while I'm popping out. Now there is an extra piece of paper in here. That's just junk. When I printed these and they're sitting on the desk, I just usually have them sitting on a piece of paper. So when we just trimmed the paper and the acetate. That's why you have the piece of paper. Does not serve any other reason. So while I'm popping out, the question came up, where do I get my images for when I print my acetate pictures. So I usually am on my computer, and just in the search bar, I'll type monarch butterfly. And then you have to hit right below your search bar. It'll say images. So you can select images, and then a whole bunch of images will come up. Now, some of them are copyrighted images. You do not want to use those. Okay, A, because they're copyrighted, B, because they will usually have like a watermark over the top. If I see one I like, sometimes you don't know whether it's one you have to pay for or whether it's a free one. So usually I'll open it up, and I'd say any image that's on the internet that's not copyrighted is pretty much fair game. So I don't go to any specific website. I just usually go to like Google and I'll search images. And once I open that image, then I'll right click on it, and usually the little thing will come up where you can do different functions. And I'll save image, and I'll save it to a specific folder on my computer. Then you can go to Word or whatever program you're used to working in, and you can plunk it in there. Now, when you plunk it in there, if your image comes out and it is small, so say your image comes out and it's this big, and you need it bigger to fit in this window, if you blow it up, it'll get pixely. So you don't want to do that. That's an image you can't use. You have to use one that's a little bit bigger image, because you can size your image down to fit in a window, but you cannot size it up. If you size it up, it will get pixely. So sometimes you don't know what size it is until you actually save it on your computer and open it. I use Photoshop a lot too, so I can open mine in Photoshop and see the size. But otherwise, if you're just working like with a Word program or whatever program you know how to work, then you can see what size it is when you actually open it up. So, or sometimes you can do it in a picture program. It's easy for a lot of people to work in Word, because you can place your different, images, and you can usually get 6 or 8 up like in a Word document. So anyways, that's where I just kind of go on the internet and poke around and find different images. Now, some of my images lately that I've been using, I do pay for, so I'll go to like Shutterstock. If I see one I really like and it's a Shutterstock image, there you do have to pay for them to download them. So sometimes I do go to Shutterstock if I see one I really like and I really want, I'll actually just pay for the image. So, and that's what I've done with some of my class images, just because I find them and they work perfect, and then I'm like, okay, I'm just going to use it. So, but you have to pay for it. Anyways, I printed this on. This is on our inkjet printable acetate, and you can feel it. One side is really smooth. The side that the image is printed on has a tiny bit of gritty feeling. You can feel the difference between the two sides. So for this one, I like to put my image down, just because I don't want my printed image up in case somebody does like scratch across it with their fingernail. You could scratch it. Now, I don't want to do that, just to show you, just because I like my image and I want to make another sample card. So this little piece I'm throwing away. I am going to take, and I'm going to have my butterfly facing, he's on the left side. And you can actually see this is the shinier side, is the non-printed side. The printed side looks a little bit more matte. So I'm going to take my overlay and I'm just going to put adhesive around the outside of my window. Now I think we have these cut to a pretty good size, but I'm going to look at that really quick. Yeah. So I think we cut them to a pretty good size. So you want your acetate. Now I have my sticky part behind me because I didn't think of this until after. But you just want to make sure that your acetate is going to be all the way behind your overlay. If your acetate's hanging off at all, you may need to do a little trim there. But I put it down So my shiny side is up, and I'm just going to stick it on my glitter paper just so you can see it. Actually, let's turn that over so you're not even looking at the glitter yet. And I have adhesive just around my window, not on the whole thing. And I like to just kind of use the method where I kind of just tap it to pick it up and slightly stick it. Now if I stick this all the way down, I'm going to stick it to my work surface. So I like to just use the method where I'm looking through my window and just kind of placing it, and I'm just kind of lightly tapping it down to kind of pick up that acetate. And that's just to get it placed where I want it to place. And now I can, push on it and stick it all the way down. Now we do want to stick this one to our glitter paper. So when I'm selecting images and I'm going to put glitter paper behind them, you can see that, well, if you're looking at this in person, you can see where my image is lighter and more transparent. You'll see the glitter paper a little bit more. Where you have a very dense image like the butterfly, which is filled in more with your ink or your little flowers here, the glitter does not come through as much. So you want to pick an image that either has some white on it, like snow for our cardinal card that we made a while ago, or like the beach scene cards that we've made have the white beach. So then the glitter will come through. If you're using a very dense picture or very dark, then you're not even going to notice the glitter that's behind it. So then it probably doesn't even matter that you put glitter behind it. So that's how I pick images. I'm looking for ones that have like lighter areas that my glitter is actually going to shine through. So now I'm going to turn this over and put adhesive on it. And now I'm just going to put adhesive around the outside. You do not want to put adhesive across the window. So I didn't want to tape all across here because then you're going to see that adhesive. So you only want to tape around the outsides. Or you can do a little bit below the window too. Now, so that was on the back. We're going to turn it over. And we're just going to attach it. Now you do have a slight border. It might be kind of hard to see, especially, looking at it right here. But there is a slight border all the way around. So then we have it attached to the overlay. You're seeing a little white border of your glitter paper. You're also seeing your glitter in the window. Then we're going to attach that to our card front. So now you can go ahead and put tape if you wanted just 3 rows across the back, or you can do it all the way around the outside. That's up to you. Again, sometimes when I'm attaching to my card front, I'll flatten it out because then I don't have to worry about it, popping up. I'm not fighting the fold of that card. So sometimes I'll flatten it. And just pay attention. When I am attaching my layers, I kind of like to look at these 3 sides, and if I have those fairly even, then I should be even on the bottom. Now that in theory should work, but doesn't always. So then we have our card front. I'm just going to do the text insert right now just because I have that right here. So I know you've seen me do text inserts before, but let's just do a refresher on text inserts. So text inserts, and if you're still taping the front, that's fine because I'm just going to talk for a little bit. Some people will take and attach them all the way around like that and then fold their card. They tend to get buckling on the inside. So what I like to do is fold my text insert, which it came folded. I like to use my 1/2" tape and go right over the top of my score. Now I don't want to go all the way down to the bottom or the top because this text insert is about 1/4 of an inch from each side. So I go right over the top of the score, but not all the way to the edges. If you're using a narrower tape gun, then I do 1 line on both sides of the score. then I like to hold this at a 90-degree angle. Take my folded text insert, so this is my folded edge, and just kind of set that right into that 90-degree angle. Now, if I do it like this, and I just lay it in there, I could go past that score. So that's why I hold it, because then I cannot go past that score. So I just kind of set that right in there, fold it flat, and then it attaches a little bit to the front, a little bit to the back. So it is a little bit loose in there, and that's okay. So, but then you don't have your buckling on the inside right here. So now we are on to our Just Smile, which is one of our new dies. We're going to be attaching the dies together. So at first I did purple on there, and I didn't like the purple, so I really like how the white stands out, but I offset it. So I like to attach them together first and then attach them to my card front. So whether you're using adhesive, I'm going to use my micro dot adhesive sheet. And I'm going to start with my my dots are back here. I'm going to set it in there, and I have my glitter facing up. Hopefully, now my sheet's been used a lot. But looks like I still have some dots on there. So I'm going to pull that off, and I'm going to attach that. And again, I offset it, so it's up to you if you want to offset it or not. So there's our just. I'm going to do the same thing with my smile. So again, I pull that back, set my smile in there. Oops, one of my eyes. And I peel the top back. And again, very carefully pull that out of there, because you don't want your letters to bend too much. So you have to have a little bit of patience when you're doing that. And again, offset them just a little bit. Sometimes I'll hold these in my hand, especially if I'm not offsetting them. If I'm not offsetting my letters, I like to hold them between my fingers so I can, squeeze my letters right onto each other. But when I'm offsetting them, then I kind of set it down. So now I have my Just Smile. And you can overlap those onto your acetate as much as you want. So just decide where you're going to place your words. You might want to do your smile on there first, just to save room. Again, pull it off of there very carefully. And set your smile on there wherever you'd like. Angled, straight, it's up to you. Now when you're pushing, if you're using glue, the one thing that I like to do rather than pushing from the front, I like to turn it over on a clean work surface and push from the back, because then you don't have to worry about your sticky hands sticking all over the front of your project. So I like to just tap it down a little, turn it over on a clean, and I stress clean work surface, and push it from the back. So we've got one more word. All right. And again, even when I'm not using glue, I still like to just push it from the back because I never know if my fingers are going to be dirty or not, which they usually are. So there you go. But dirty hands means that you're having fun, right? Now we have our two little eyes. And I lost my purple eyes in the whole thing, so I'm not even going to worry about my purple eyes. Let's see. I had some, I'm just going to use a little bit of glue and put a little drop down. And for glue, I like to use crystal lacquer. Well, if I can get it to come out. Sometimes I have to poke it. And test it before I do it on my project. So a little drop, then my two little eyes. Now tweezers would be nice right now. Okay, so we have our Just Smile card. So you can tell that I must have had more ink in my printer on this one. It's a little bit lighter lavender here, a little bit darker here. So yeah, coloring sometimes depends on your printer, how much ink is in it. So there we go for that card. Let's go on to our other purple one. Now we may need a little break to clean our fingers off a little bit. Let's go on to the other purple one. Now I also did not do this homework where I punched all these out. But we're going to do our brush blending first. So again, our glitter paper picks up dye-based ink really well. So I said to be prepared with a purple ink pad, which I've got a purple ink pad right here, and a blending brush, and we're just going to blend color on our flowers. Now, here's my sample. The back one is already the cardstock. So the cardstock that we're using right here and the wishes is our So Silk Fashion Purple, and it's just a really silky feeling cardstock. I've used it on a few cards lately just because I really like it. It die cuts really nice too. So I am going to take, now you could do this one a little bit darker and this one a little bit lighter if you wanted. I'm going to pick up my color, and I do have to hold my fingers on there because there's nowhere to hold. And I'm just going to brush blend my purple. Now what I should have done was when I had most of the color off there, I should have went to my little one. I'll do that this time. So this one I'm making a little bit darker. And then I'm just going to go to this one and do a little bit lighter purple. So kind of your second off stamping where you get your darker and then you get your little bit lighter. But look at how pretty that glitter paper takes the dye-based ink. Now, this is our crystal diamond print glitter paper, which is the white one, which is different than the Miri Sparkle. So the Miri Sparkle are these colors. So the closest one is the silver. But the silver does, any of the Miri Sparkles do not take dye-based inks. You can put dye-based inks on here and they'll still be coming off the next day because they just won't dry. So, but on the crystal diamond print, it's from a different manufacturer and the dye-based inks dry on here. You can actually are supposed to be able to put this through your inkjet printer. I haven't tried it. I've put it through my laser printer, but not my inkjet printer. So Miri Sparkle is different than the crystal diamond print. Dye-based inks will not dry. Alcohol inks, on the other hand, dry beautifully on the Miri Sparkle, but get a little blotchy on the crystal diamond print. So a little bit difference. Plus these, the Miri Sparkles feel super smooth. This one has a little bit of grit to it. So you can color Copics on either one of these, like Copic markers, but this one might tend to chew up your tip a little bit more because it has a little bit of grit to it, where the silver is just a super smooth stock. So just a little about the glitter papers. So I'm gonna punch my stuff out, and then I am going to, I'm gonna let this dry for a little bit, and we're gonna put the layers together while it's drying. So my wish is I did kind of punch out already. But we're gonna put the layers of the card together just while we let that one dry. Again, this one, we're gonna start with the text insert, which we just did on the other card. How's everyone doing? Am I going too fast? Good pace?
They aren't commenting.
You guys are just working along?
Kathy Moore says she just loves all your different papers. Thanks, Kathy.
Thanks, Kathy. So anyways, we are taking, I put our, I'm not drawing the tutorial on this one, but again, I put my tape right down the center, right on top of the score. Just a little FYI, if you've ever noticed, the score is always a bump, and we always fold in towards the bump. So technically, if you send it to somebody the other way, it's no big deal, but you know, it's for a die cutter, and that's the way you're supposed to it. The bump always goes to the inside.
Yeah, your dad would not like it if you did it the other way.
So that's just the way the paper, you know, breaks down the fibers. You're supposed to fold in. So then we take our folded text insert, folded edge, and hold it at a 90-degree angle, put it right up to the center. That's our text insert. Then we have our 3 layers. Up to you whether you want to build them onto the front, or sometimes I like building them just on my top layers, and then I'll turn them over and then attach them. Now the one piece that you're going to want to trim is this. This is our black diamond Mary Sparkle. So that you should technically attach on there first with a narrow adhesive. So attach that, and I stamped these and I put a mask down. So some people may have, you know, this section may be wider or it may be narrower, but you can always widen it or narrow it based on where you attach your Miri Sparkle strip. You know, you could cover it all the way up, you could just cover a little bit of it up. So that's totally up to you. But just attach that, and then you're going to trim.
Robin said she had time to throw dinner in the Instant Pot. So what kind of dinner is that?
Yeah, what are you having, Robin? We had pepperoni bread for dinner. It's like a secret family recipe.
Oh my God.
Can't give it out, or my brothers may have a fit.
But we may share it someday.
But we may share it anyways, because I did once, and yeah, that didn't end too well.
Oh, prime rib.
Oh, I'm coming by you.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to
In
attach.
the Instant Pot. Wow.
I don't have an Instapot. That's one kitchen gadget I do not have. So I attached this piece onto the purple, then that onto the Miri Sparkle. But I've heard it works super nice for cooking stuff. Okay, so let's see. Now I thought we put 6 pearls in, 2 for the other card and then 4 for this card. I have my little sample kit, So I don't have the pearls, but I'm thinking you all do have the pearls in yours. So now is your time to catch up because I did not do my homework. So I am going to poke out my flower. Or you may be poking your flower out with me. It's up to you. Now when you're attaching your flowers, you can use foam tape on every layer, or you can stick your first layer down, use foam tape on your next two. If you don't like popping up because you are mailing these, you can not put foam tape on. It's up to you. So foam tape or not foam tape, totally your decision. Now this one, some of these aren't cut. It doesn't seem like they're cut all the way on the inside. Oh, they are actually. But if you get ones that are not cut all the way to the inside and they will come out in the top, you can just kind of peel them back. And this paper is so thick that, oh, these were all cut. But if they're not cut, if you just peel them back, you're just peeling off a little bit of the paper backing, because this is a 130-pound paper. So when I was making a different sample, like there were some that were just still not cut all the way at this very end, and I just peeled them back, and it just peeled a little layer of that backing off,
Are
which
yours
is
over
fine.
by the yellow paint book?
I don't know. Oh, that's not mine.
That's what Kathy was asking.
No. Sometimes I get a mess when I'm working here. You guys can only see this little area, so that's probably a good thing. Because, yeah, I got a lot of stuff on this table. Now I do have to poke out the rest of mine. So I am going to just attach this one down. And I did, if you're attaching it, just put tape right in the center. Up to you if you want to attach it centered over your Miri Sparkle. So just keep working. Either keep attaching stuff, or take a drink of whatever your beverage you're enjoying, or eat your dinner if you're just watching and listening. Sometimes I find myself working probably faster than a lot of you, so that's why I slow myself down by not doing the homework that I say to do.
Oh, she had a 3-rib prime rib, 8 minutes on high, and then 35 minutes on natural pressure release. I chose small in case I mess up and not so much money wasted. Big Easter sale on meat. I asked her how big and how long.
Oh, I might have to get me an Instapot, because it sounds super quick and easy. Alright, so we're almost there. I am going to pop up these last 2 layers. Okay, so we've got those. And you have your word, which you know how I'm going to do my word. So I'm going to pop these up with my foam tape. And you can offset these however you want on top of each other, because I think they're close to the same flower, just sized down. So yeah, you can turn them to however they look best. So I've got my flowers on there. I do have one pearl left here, which I think I'm going to dot my wishes. But my wishes, I'm going to use my micro dot adhesive sheet. And this is the one that I've been using quite a bit. I mean, this is, I didn't replenish it. So this is the one I've been using since I started using them up here during classes. so you can see that the microdot adhesive sheets last a long time. You can kind of see, like when I look at it at an angle, I can see where a lot of the dots are missing. So up to you. You can actually bend this die cut so it's at like a curve if you want. Again, turn it over and give it a push from the back. And I do have an extra pearl, so I'm going to dot my eye with the pearls. And I will find some more pearls to put up here, or even a yellow one or something. So that's our sending birthday wishes, which is that one. Let's check on our watercolor. It should be fairly dry. So, because I'm going to do the coloring one last, because if you want to color with me, great. If you don't want to color with me, that's fine too. So on our watercolor one, we have the rest of our pieces. Now we didn't do a text insert on this one because we don't have the mini slimline text insert yet. So I do just have a white insert. So this is one of our white mini slimline layering swatches. And those work just as well for putting on the inside of a card also. So that's that. Now we do need to trim our cold press watercolor. So what you can do, you can either, this is 5 3/4, and so I think I trimmed it to 5 1/2. Don't take my word for that yet, or don't start hacking away. But one other thing that you can do is you can take it and you can turn it over. You can take a pencil or a pen and just kind of draw that line of where the edge of the paper is. And now, because I know I want about 1/8 of an inch border, when I put this on my little personal paper trimmer, I can trim in from that. So let's see, I gotta get a trimmer. So if my trimming line is right here, I can move that in about 1/8 of an inch, and I can trim that off. Oops. My trimming blade isn't that sharp. That's a bummer. But then I have my line fitting right there. That's going to bug me, so hang on a second, I got to trim that off. And note to self, Sarah, get a new blade for your trimmer. So I can attach that. Now the other thing on this card is I have, before I attach it, I have the yellow, or the black and the blue strips, and right now they're cut a little bit bigger than that piece. So I'm going to attach these two pieces together, and then I'm going to attach them to the front of my card, and then I'm going to trim them to match. So I attached them together. I put tape on the back. I'm going to attach that to my cold press watercolor. Now it is very close, so if you don't care that they hang off a hair, then that's fine, but I'm going to trim mine. They hang over by just a hair. Then I'm going to attach that to the front of my card, or the front of my metallic layer. Then I'm going to put adhesive on that, attach it to the back of my card, or the front of my card, putting adhesive on the back. Now this one does have a very small border. Smaller than my sample. Now, two more things. We have gems. So you do have 6 gems to attach on there. These probably need to be cut apart, which a little scissors would be better than a big one, but I don't know where my little one is. So you just need to cut between them. Actually, my little scissors is in my stamp room. Someday if I get it cleaned up, I'll show you my stamp room. Yeah, my mom's laughing. Okay, that'll be a goal of mine. Get my stamp room clean so I can show my class peeps my stamp room.
I can mark that down.
Shh, did I say that out loud?
Yeah, that's trouble.
I have creative chaos going on in my stamp room. Let's just put it that way. Okay. I've got my hello. Again, I didn't poke them all the way out, but I'm doing it. Now when I attach these two together, this is what I was talking about before, because these I'm attaching directly on top of each other. I like to do that in my hands with my fingers. So make sure that your fingers are clean and non-sticky. And sometimes there's little sniblets around these, so just kind of pull all the little snibbly things off.
What is that technical term?
Sniblets.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm going to see if I can find a blank spot on my micro dot adhesive sheet. I might actually have to get a new one pretty soon. Okay. So. Picking up my micro dots. Now I like to hold these in my hand just so I can kind of take my fingers and put my H all the way together, and my E, and then my L, then my other L. Then I put it down and give it one last squish. Now this one, on this sample, I actually did pop that up because these have a little bit wider letters. I popped up my letters. Or just, not behind the whole thing, but I just took foam tape behind some of these letters. And sometimes you need to trim your foam tape a little bit thinner. But I wanted, I don't know, I just felt like popping these up. And I'll cut my foam tape really thin, because you don't have that many chunky letters that you can actually pop up. So these, I thought, no, these are chunky, I'll pop them up. Oh, that one's a little bit too narrow. Alrighty. Probably a little bit more work, but I like the little bit of dimension.
Is that why you layered one on top of the other two?
Yeah, I like my letters to be thick, and especially when you're popping them up, they need to be a little bit firmer. I've been doing that a lot lately, where I stack my letters, or stack my words. Sometimes I'll stack 3 on top of each other, because then they actually look like you die cut them out of chipboard, but I actually used metallic paper. So then we have our hello. So everybody should be there. Now we will go to our very last card, which it's this card. So this was actually my mom's birthday card. Yay! And I usually don't color with you guys, but I'm going to today. The one thing that I want to point out is, and you could watercolor this, you could use colored pencils. I'm just going to use my Copics. And I am by no means a Copic expert. I just color with them. I never took a class, so, but I thought it turned out pretty good, so I was kind of happy with myself. But don't color, like you're going to lose a little bit of this bottom area. So don't worry, you know, if you color all the way down to the bottom, you're going to cover some of that up. So just kind of make a mental note, or like if I wanted to, I could color a tiny bit. Now this one, when I did the original one, I had the flowers right here, but I wanted the flowers to go up a little bit higher. So, but I could take and color like my line in the middle of a couple of these flowers. That's my mental note, not to go below like that line. So just because that kind of ticks me off when I color the whole thing and then I cover part of it up.
It's like removing wallpaper that you don't have to remove.
So, yeah. Or flooring. So anyways, yeah, if you want to make a line there on where to not color below, so you don't color all of this extra space. And if I didn't tell you that, you'd probably be like, Sarah, I just colored it, and now I have to cover it up. So that's why, you know, make a line there so you don't color all that stuff. So I'm coloring my green first. I'm using 2 different shades of green. I've got YG03 and YG06. I'm going to color all of my green with my YG03, and then I'm going to take my YG06 and just kind of draw on my stems. So, go. While I'm coloring, I was going to do a post on this, and I totally spaced it. We have a new grandbaby. So Everett Scott Justison, our middle son, and his wife had a little baby boy. So we're kind of excited about that. We've been, you know, keeping busy with, you know, they got home from the hospital and taking them meals and cuddling the little guy. So that's kind of fun. New parents are fun to watch because they're just still learning everything, and I can imagine that that was kind of me. So anyways, keep coloring. This is going to take a little bit, so if you know, are pre-colored, you're probably done by now because you just needed to assemble. I don't even know how long it took me to color when I was coloring the birthday card, but I usually do not make my cards ahead of time. I'm usually the hour before I need them type of gal for making my cards. Is there anybody coloring with me, or did you guys all do it ahead of time? If you are coloring with me, you're probably not commenting because you're coloring.
Congratulations, congratulations, congratulations.
Thank you. So that's our first great grandbaby. So then I did take my darker one, and I just kind of highlighted where my veins of the leaves were. I mean, there's already some highlighting there because the stamp actually has some dark shading in it. Now, these stamps, these are new from Impression Obsession. I think they're pretty brand new. Like, I think they probably just posted them on their website, like the beginning of April. So they have a line of little slimline stamps.
There's a couple people coloring with you, and some that have colored, and others that are still working on the other card.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
So, and then you can, if you want to go back over it with your original green, you can do that too. And that'll just kind of blend those colors a little bit together. I'm going to go on to my pinks though. So I did start out, and I have 3 pinks, and I did start out and I colored all of my flowers this pink, which is my medium pink, which is RV14. And then I don't have an RV that's lighter, I only have my R. So I colored them all with my medium pink. Then I went back and I highlighted some areas with my RV09, which was my brighter pink. And then I kind of went over all of my flowers with my R20, and that just kind of blended the stuff together. So, but if you don't want to do, well, pink is kind of the color of this card, but so that's up to you. But yes, I colored all of my flowers the one color pink, which is the medium. So I was not real, you know, I went around and did the outside lines, and then I just kind of filled in. So I run around and made sure I kind of stayed in the lines as best as I could. And then I just kind of filled it in. And that's with this RV14. Now I know some of you like it when I pre-color the stuff because you don't like coloring. Sorry. I didn't do it with this one. And usually when I pre-color it for classes, I do it in Photoshop. And this one would have just been terrible to do in Photoshop. I don't know. I'm fairly decent at Photoshop. Okay. So again, oh, my marker's probably going to run out of ink. I might have to have my mom go get my re-inker. I looked at it earlier and I thought, okay, that's pretty good. We'll see if we can make it last.
Are you doing any stamp shows this year? Nancy Cloud wants to know.
Oh, stamp shows, okay. No, we are not doing any stamp shows this year. We just decided that we weren't going to. So, yeah, we will see you next year. Who is all going to stamp shows this year?
Well, the video stopped.
What do you mean the video stopped?
I didn't hit the end live video. It's just somebody said the video stopped. Hello?
Do you see me?
Yeah, I can see it. Oh, yeah, I'm not on here, you can't.
Oh, no, it should still be playing.
Yeah, somebody said it stopped. Video is still good for echo, so.
Oh, so don't hit end live video.
No, I didn't. Most everybody's seeing something, but 2 people said they didn't, so.
If you're just watching, it may have stopped just because your screen was inactive for so long. Because that's what happened to our computer that we had going here.
The little one, yeah.
So my one pink is running out. Huh. So I am coloring harder with my Copics than I normally would be because my pink is almost out of ink. So I might have to do my last flower later. So anyways, I did fill in with my dark pink, and I did kind of just do these lines around it with my dark pink. So not sure why it stopped for some of you. Anyways, we were back talking about stamp shows. We are not going to do any stamp shows this year. We just was just struggling whether to do them, whether to not do them. The one that I was possibly going to go back to was the Stamp Away show, but my dad's celebration of life is that Sunday, so that takes precedence. So then we just decided, you know what, we'll just see you all back in 2022. Things should be totally done by then. Everybody should be vaccinated or, you know, whatever. So we'll just see you then, and we'll keep doing the virtual until then. So we just look forward to seeing you online. And then we'll be back in 2022. But I can tell you that we are probably not doing as many shows. Ron and I were traveling like 24 weekends a year, and now with having a grandbaby, we just decided, you know what, hey, we want to be home a little bit more. So yeah, we just decided it's time to cut back a little. So that's what we're going to do. So if we're going to see any blessing from this pandemic, it is that maybe it's slowed us down a little bit. And we're going to enjoy some time at home. So my one flower is not going to be colored. And I'm just going to color this one dark pink. Actually, I don't even think I need that one. Or maybe I'll just color this one a really bright pink. There. We'll just get it done with. So yeah. I don't know if any of you are all planning on going to any shows this year. If you do, please be safe. And watch for us next year at some of the shows. But we will for sure be online. I'm not gonna, you know, a lot of you have joined me that we usually didn't see at shows even because we don't make it everywhere. So it's been nice, you know, having a lot of new people, and we'll keep seeing you online. What's that, Mom?
Nothing, I'm just reading my thank you.
Okay. So now I did take this lightest pink, and I'm just kind of blending everything together, and it's adding a little bit different shade in there. So it's not as bright in your face pink.
But your mother's kind of a pink person, so.
So yeah, this R20 just adds a little bit, kind of lightens it all up. Let's see. Oh yeah, there we go. So I'm not even missing my pink that I had.
Did your mom get a lot of birthday cards?
Oh yeah. But the birthday card thing, there was somebody that posted on our website for birthday cards, and that was it was a friend of somebody that was turning 90, so I think she got a lot of them.
I'm not 90 yet, but I
No,
hope to
she's
make
not
it
90,
there.
but when she turns 90, we'll flood her with cards. So anyways, this is my version of that, and even though I ran out of pink, I just did this one a little bit darker. But you see how when I did this R20 over the top, it just kind of lightened some of that pink up and gave it a different tone.
Wendy Little said she's glad that she found you through the online events. I hope even after you go back to live shows that you will still be doing virtual classes.
Oh, Wendy, I will definitely be doing virtual classes. Yep. Because there's people that, we don't get all over, and there's so many people that either don't have a show near them or they can't get out to go to the shows. So it's just been, meeting meeting is a relative term over the internet, a lot of you. So let me just make sure I have everything colored. I missed a little bit right there. So yes, we will continue to do our live stuff. Warehouse sale, September. We will probably do some version of both in person and online. So online like we did last year, but our local people will be able to come. We just have to figure out exactly how we're doing that. But we'll probably kick it off with our in-person, and then that will be the start, and that'll be the start to warehouse sale week when we see all of you online. We had a lot of fun last year. Maybe by then I'll have my stamp room cleaned and you can see that. When we do a tour of the shop like we did last year, it'll include my stamp room.
Well, now there's some incentive.
Okay, so yes, we finished coloring. And you can always add more dark, in places that you want. Now, up here, I did, and I forgot to tell you, I'm going to do that last. I did add a little yellow glitter and a yellow gem right here. So I did forget to tell you to get out some glitter or gems or whatever for the center of this flower. So we're going to start assembling. I'm going to use tape on the back of my green Mary Sparkle. And that fits right down at the bottom of our white piece, just like that. Then we have a piece of pink mirror card.
Hey, you did this card for me when I was here working on a Saturday, and you were in your stamp room, and I didn't even know you were making my card.
I know. I did. She's working 20 feet from me, and I'm making her card in my stamp room. She didn't even know it. Okay, the happy birthday. This is a stamp from Impression Obsession. It's one of their new sets to go with their slim line. Now, I did trim this off. So if you're a go for it kind of gal, trim it with the scissors. If not, pull out your personal paper trimmer. I did trim it pretty close to the little swooshes on the end. And then I am popping that up, but I'm going to attach this last, because if I know I'm popping stuff up, I don't like it to be popped up when I still have to put tape, because I have to put tape on the back of here. So we'll just do this, get it ready to pop it up. And then my other pieces that I have in here. Oops. We have a slimline text insert. So again, we've attached a few text inserts right over the top of the score. Take your folded text insert, put it right into that score, and then fold your card. Now we have our green, our sour apple. Actually, I always like to attach I don't know, I probably switch. Sometimes I attach card and then layer, layer, layer. Sometimes I attach the layers. Okay, so just make sure we have our equal borders, which I wasn't very equal on that side, but it's pretty much the same color. And then attach that to your card front. And then we have our words. Now my one added thing, which you guys don't have because I didn't give you a yellow gem or yellow glitter, but I did add, oops, I have to unplug my crystal lacquer again. So I did add some yellow glitter on here for the center of the flower. And actually I think I used a different yellow glitter, but that's okay. I don't use glitter a whole lot. So we've got our yellow glitter. Now I do have a gem too. It doesn't need a gem, but I do have a gem that I'm going to stick on there after my glitter dries. So
Another great class.
those are our cards for the day. I'm going to lay them out here for you to see one more time. So that's our Colors of Spring class. Again, we did run out of kits, but I am making just a few more.
What stamp are the flowers, Sarah, on that last card?
This is from Impression Obsession.
Okay.
I think it's called Peonies. I am not that great at flowers. My mom is, but those are peonies. So yes, this is our Colors of Spring class. You'll be able to order it online through tomorrow, which is Friday. And then I'm going to take it down. However many orders we have in-house after that, that's how many more we'll make up and get out to you. Otherwise, I have a craft along coming on the 17th, which is our mini slimline waterfall card, either the gnome or the cats. And then one of a kind also has a scrap along day the next day, which we're doing a library pocket book kit. So anyways, thank you for joining me tonight. Even though we had a little bit of technical difficulties, we got through it, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. Good night.